Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to another episode of The Fragrance Well. Pretty straightforward topic today for you guys. We're going to talk about standout fragrance choices. Let's say you are going to a social setting where there's going to be a high number of people and you expect the people there to be wearing fragrances. So you want your fragrance choice to stand out, stand apart from what you might come across in that social setting. Let's just be honest, if you're a fragrance collector and you don't just collect the most popular, top selling designer fragrances, nothing wrong with doing that. I'm just saying you don't do that and you dive into, niche fragrances or designer fragrances that are a little bit more unique and not trying to be like the top selling fragrances that are out today, you're probably gonna stand out anyway. Your chances are very much elevated, so that's a good thing. So that kind of makes picking fragrances for this list not that hard, but I still try to put a little bit of effort into it and still say, hey, these have a higher chance of you not smelling like someone else there, or even to a lesser degree wearing the exact same fragrance as someone else you might be coming across in a social setting. So that's the focus of today's video. I have got 10 of them and I'm gonna just kind of go over them quickly. I don't want the video to drag on too long, but these are 10 fragrance choices that I think will have you standing out from your fragrance collection if you're going into a social gathering. Unless you are meeting up with a bunch of fragrance collectors where, hey, that's a totally different subject matter. So as always, before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, and hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, first up, coming from the house of Amouage, this is Jubilation 25. Amouage Jubilation 25. Like I said, if you're going to a fragrance gathering, it might not be as unique. But in a regular social setting, I doubt you're going to come across anyone smelling like this or wearing this fragrance in particular. A little bit of a fruitiness with it. There's some spices, there's dry woods, and a very light, smoky, incensey feel throughout this fragrance. Smells luxurious, smells exclusive, smells high-end. I'd guarantee you wear this to a social setting, you're probably not gonna find anybody smelling like this fragrance. So this one, easy standout choice in my opinion. Once again, from the house of Amouage, this is Jubilation 25. All right, next up from the house of Arabian Oud, this is Blue Oud. Arabian Oud, Blue Oud. So I would say that depending on the setting, you might find someone wearing an oud fragrance, but it's probably not going to be the highest quality of oud, or it definitely isn't going to be a fragrance like this, where you're basically just getting oud and that's it. Cambodian oud and Indian oud, I like to call it a moving picture of oud, so to speak. Gives you a presentation of many different facets of what oud can be. Not all of them, but just two types of oud that give you two different experiences, so to speak. And this fragrance gives you that. Smells very luxurious, smells awesome. You don't need a lot of sprays of it. It'll do what it does. But let's just be real. Chances of you running into somebody else wearing this fragrance in particular, or any fragrance that features oud in this way, is pretty low in my opinion, even in some of the more exclusive settings. So yes, I think this one is definitely an easy standout choice. If that is your goal for your fragrance wear, you just want to be unique, you'll be unique with this one. So once again, from Arabian Oud, this is Blue Oud. All right, guys, next one is from the house of Initio Parfums. This is Blessed Baraka. Initio Parfums, Blessed Baraka. So right here, you've got very sweet amber, got some sandalwood. There's a little bit of a spicy touch, but not really. There's some white florals in this as well. This is a lovely fragrance. I would say Initio is, I think, gaining popularity only because its accessibility is growing. Initio is available in stores like Dillard's now, so that means more and more people are going to know about it. But I'd be willing to bet Blessed Baraka is probably more of a community darling than it is amongst the general populace, because if you go to a counter and have the salesperson just kind of show you what's there, she's not going to go to this one first. They're going to go to the best sellers first. You might eventually get to this one. At least that's been my experience. But yeah, a sweet amber fragrance, not overly unique, but not really too many people are going to smell like this in my opinion. I think you'll definitely stand out with this fragrance choice. Smells lovely in the air, very alluring, a little bit intoxicating feel to this fragrance. You'll definitely stand out with this choice. So once again, from Initio Parfums, this is Blessed Baraka. All right, guys, next one's coming from the house of Orto Parisi. This is Bergamask. Orto Parisi Bergamask. So this fragrance here is fresh, it's citrusy, has a lot of musk, kind of a woody feel to it. These are actually very common fragrance characteristics, particularly amongst characteristics that a lot of people tend to like. What's great about this fragrance though is the way they come across in it is not common at all. The citrus is extremely sharp, it's incredibly rich, which is not very common in citrus heavy fragrances, very fresh. The musk in here is a little bit animalic, so it has a little bit of that facet to it. So the fragrance in and of itself, common characteristics, but it does not come across that way. And also, just kind of a side note for this fragrance, if you're ever anywhere where they have these and you test it, this is brass. Brass smells. So I would say spray it on your skin or spray it on a strip. If you smell it from the atomizer, you're gonna smell that brass. That might throw you off to what the scent actually smells like. So just a little bit of a side note there. But because this comes across so unique, even with those common characteristics, you're probably gonna stand out with this fragrance choice. And let me just tell you, this one works wonders in the air. So you'll stand out with this fragrance choice for sure. Once again, Orto Parisi. This is Bergamask. All right, next one's coming from the house of Prada. This is Lunar Rossa Black. Prada Lunar Rossa Black. So it obviously does powdery very well, as Prada tends to do. I still think this one is masterful. Anyway, powdery, a little bit floral, spicy, and ambery. Overall, very simple scent DNA, but unlike anything that is typically found in the designer market in terms of being a bestseller, this one definitely stands on its own in the Lunar Rossa line, although I would say many of the iterations of the Lunar Rossa line do offer different things, so I think that's very interesting. But this one I think is definitely the most unique out of them and the most kind of exclusive, if you will, in terms of it not really being very similar to a lot of what's out there. You'll stand out with this fragrance choice because this fragrance is not one of the best sellers in the Lunar Rossa line, but it's still hanging around, which is great. But I think it's definitely more of a collector darling than it is for the general public. So this is will definitely be a nice standout choice if you want to go for something that's a little bit powdery. So once again, from the house of Prada, this is Lunar Rossa Black. All right, next one's coming from the house of Amarud. This is Lunar Vetiver. Amarud Lunar Vetiver. So this fragrance is a little bit green, quite spicy, a little bit woody, a little bit of an aromatic touch to it, has a slight soapiness to it. It's a pretty complex fragrance. There's just a touch of sweetness under it to balance it all out. The fragrance alone is rather unique, at least from what I've come across. I haven't come across too many things that smell like this. So the fragrance alone is unique, and also it'll easily stand out in any social setting where you expect people to be wearing fragrances, because yeah, I find it very difficult to find somebody who is wearing anything even similar to this fragrance. So you want a standout choice, definitely check this one out. I need to check out more from this house in general. It just seems like they have some really awesome stuff. Fortunately, I'm just gonna have to get a samples kit. I haven't seen them anywhere, so I don't know where they're sold, but very good house, and on discounters, not really expensive, and also really long lasting. This one is, and I've heard the others are as well. So good house to check out in general. So standout choice for sure from the house of Amarud. This is Lunar Vetiver. All right, next one's coming from the house of Nishane, and this is Fan Your Flames. Nishane, Fan Your Flames. Coconut and rum, a little bit of a tropical vibe obviously, and some leafy tobacco with some very dry wood. So the fragrance has a dryness to it. I would say that this style of fragrance, there are other fragrances on the market that do this. They have that coconut vibe, or at least have that rum vibe mixing with tobacco. So that's not completely unique, but so far I haven't come across any that quite do it like Fan Your Flames does. Matter of fact, many of the fragrances I've come across that have these kind of classification to it, so to speak, they all do it in their own way. So that makes each of these fragrances that kind of feature this kind of note breakdown unique. But this one, same thing. It'll easily be a unique choice. You'll definitely stand out. Not too many people are walking around smelling like Fan Your Flames, even in a nice social gathering. So if you want a standout choice that, at least to me, smells absolutely amazing, Fan Your Flames is a good one. So once again, from Nishane, this is Fan Your Flames. Get your nose on it though. This one, can be a little off-putting to some people. All right, guys, next one's coming from the house of Ramon Monagal. This is Next to Me. Ramon Monagal, Next to Me. Right here you got peach, coconut, some spices, lots of incense. There's rose, there's oud, a little bit of a smokiness to it. This fragrance smells exotic, it smells luxurious, has an oriental feel to it. You're gonna stand out with this. Not too many people walking around smelling like this fragrance does. Given in a social setting, this one will definitely kind of walk on its own, in my opinion. Matter of fact, if we're talking about uniqueness, I still don't have anything else in my collection that even comes close to what this one offers overall. But yes, I'm sure on the overall market, there are certainly fragrances that do what this does, if not better. But in the general mass public, you're gonna smell unique if you go with this choice. So once again, from Ramon Monagal, this is Next to Me. All right, next one's from the house of Francesca Bianchi. This is Sticky Fingers. Francesca Bianchi, Sticky Fingers. So with the name, you would think the fragrance is like overly sweet and syrupy and rich. It's not. It's mostly spicy, mostly leathery. Does have a little bit of an earthiness to it. Does have some sweetness, so it's not, just not sweet at all. And a little bit of a richness to it. There's notes like orris butter in here too, so gives it a little bit of a richness. But more importantly, you'll be unique with this scent. Francesca Bianchi in general puts out very unique fragrances. She does tend to use a lot of animalic and heavier accords in her fragrances, but they're not all there at the same degree as I've experienced thus far. This one does have notes like castoreum in it, but it's not one of the stronger elements in this fragrance in particular. But you'll definitely be unique with this one. You'll be sexy, you will have an allure to you, but you'll also be unique. Not too much gonna smell like this on the overall market, and in particular, you go to a social setting, pretty sure you'll be the only one rocking this and the only one smelling of this style, so to speak. So once again, from Francesca Bianchi, this is Sticky Fingers. All right, and finally, the last fragrance on this list from the house of Ormond Jane, this is Montabaco Intensivo. Ormond Jane, Montabaco Intensivo. So what's great about this scent is, it's just really, really good first and foremost, but it's also definitely unique in terms of what you might typically come across if you're smelling other people wearing fragrances. Has a cooling air accord to it, has a fresh spiciness to it, little bit green, a strong tea accord, and some very nice clean leafy tobacco with some dried woods. I haven't come across too much that smells like this overall anyway myself, so very popular in the community. Well, I wouldn't say very popular, but it's known in the community. I would say its popularity is probably growing in the community, but to the general masses, nobody really knows about this. I'll say this about this fragrance. If anybody was asking to get a fragrance recommendation that is definitely not what most people are going to be wearing, but they themselves are not like a collector, this is one of my first recommendations I would give. In fact, I have recommended it to somebody. I don't know if they got it, but I did tell them, you wear this, man, you're not going to run across too many people smelling like this, if anyone at all. So this is definitely a standout choice in my opinion in general. So once again, from the house of Ormond Jane, this is Montabaco Intensivo. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Please let me know down in the comments below what you thought of my choices, and also what's something you would add to the list in terms of being a standout choice. Like I said, most fragrances can actually be a standout choice because over the wider market, there's a very select few that a majority of people that even wear fragrances might be wearing. Thank you guys for watching all the way until the end. I really do appreciate you. Remember to be well and smell well. And I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.